Okay, so here's me standing up on her, just to show you sort of what it's like, how stable it is with wind. It's pretty windy today. I wouldn't be able to be out here without this motor, to be honest with you, or some sort of good anchor, because the paddle just wouldn't do it. Yeah, you can see even with wake and the wind and everything, I mean, we're just hanging out. Spot lock engaged right now. Every once in a while I grab this. I am topwater fishing, so I'm doing a lot of pausing and stuff. I don't anticipate catch anything right now, just because in order for me to catch anything, I would have to have gotten out here really early in the morning. Right now striper fishing at Lake Pleasant, that's where I am. It's a lot of topwater stuff, but I'm more or less just casting to give you guys an example of what this is like. See, the motor just right then, I almost sat down because the motor had to compensate for some of the waves, and it kind of gave me a little bit of a scare. But mostly, this works great. I don't really have to worry about if I'm going to move anywhere. I mean, it is GPS, so it has to have a clear view of the sky. You know, other than that, it's great. I love it. I can't believe it took me this long to honestly make it happen. Yeah, I want to have to come out here early in the morning, probably next weekend, and do a real fishing video. If you guys want to see that, that is. My line I have on this pole is way too big for what I'm fishing with, because there's striper out here. But my big boy pole is not set up currently, and I knew I probably wouldn't be catching any fish, so I figured, screw it, I'll just come out here with what I got. So I put a little bigger line on this to go catfishing a couple weeks ago like an idiot. Yeah, and that's why. But anyways, as you can see, we got waves, we got wind, everything. I'm standing up on it with basically no problems. I mean, it does take a little bit of getting used to, but it's pretty fantastic. And you can see how it's just sitting here and adjusting for the wind and everything. And it will vary by a few feet. So, I mean, you're gonna have to deal with maybe 3 or 4 feet of variation around where your spot is. I don't think it does that much on heavier boats, but this particular one is so light that, you know, it's just hard for it to keep it in one spot. But you do stay in the relative vicinity of where you want to be, which is what we want. So yeah, I don't anticipate to catch any fish here, but I just want to show you guys what it was like fishing on it, standing up with the grab rack and everything, just so you guys could see. It's pretty shallow here. I don't have a way to lift this, so I have to be very careful with the motor. So I'm gonna have to literally jump out when it's just right. It's getting there now. I'm using the paddle here to really, the wind is so bad, this makes it real tricky. I'm gonna have to use the motor to actually keep me from going into that deep side. Whew, this is a little difficult because of how windy it is. All right, I'm gonna jump out now, because I don't want my motor to hit the ground. As you can see, the boat, even me coming straight off the side of it, the boat is actually super stable. At no point did I feel like the boat was going to flip over on me getting off the edge of it. And I will get on it in a minute to show you what that was like too. But now, when you're over here towards the land, right? I don't know how much of this you can see, but if you can see that, I've got maybe 5 inches of clearance from the motor right now on the bottom of the lake. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick the motor up. You have to basically hit this in. It's hard to do, struggle in this water with the waves the way they are. Come on up. Yeah, I'm doing this wrong, I'm sorry. I'm a noob to trolling motors, as you can see. It's usually not this difficult. Now it's locked into place and it's there. That's what it looks like, the way that I have it rigged up. Ooh, sorry, a little taxing there. Yeah, so that's it stowed. Let's push her up on the store here, get a little bit better of an idea of what all this stuff looks like. So, the last time you guys saw this, it was significantly different. So I've made a lot of changes to how I use it, and I had some people on the YouTube channel, a few of you ask for me to do an updated review. Sorry, I'm out of breath. Man, that thing's heavy sometimes, especially when you got everything on it. but that's okay. Small price to pay for me, at least that's how I feel about it anyways. So all right, to the Bote Rover Aero. So I'll show you how I actually set this up. So you can see this is where the paddle holder usually goes. So the paddle holder usually goes in here. I don't know if you see those marks or not right there. I'm not sure if you can see them, but there's a screw here as well that's pulling down. I had to actually add these spacers here because it was causing a little bit of damage there. So I added these spacers. I literally just bought some washers and then just like stacked them evenly on each of these so that I could create a space to have a long enough bolt to actually go through this mount and avoid hitting the actual paddleboard itself here. But yeah, so those are quarter 30. It's pretty generalized. I just went to Home Depot. I bought some quarter 30 bolts and then basically some washers, and decided to make my own way of putting it on there. Now you notice I don't have the motor mounts installed for the outboard. That's because I don't use an outboard on it, and I don't see a point in putting the motor mount on there without them. Yeah, it's kind of cool as a cup holder. Like if you want to put like a Gatorade in there or something, it kind of fits perfectly, honestly. But I actually had an idea on the way out here that I think what I'm going to do is, instead of mounting it there, I'm going to put it here, because this is obviously made for an anchoring system, which is way more sturdy. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of plywood, water treated, across here and put 8 bolts in it to keep it held down, and I'm going to put the motor mount here, and I'm going to set it in between here like it's meant to go, and that will be my long-term solution to this. Now I do like it being on the front of the boat just because it makes it easier, because I can see which direction the motor's headed and stuff like that, and I don't have to, you know, try and I guess, well, it's easy with this, to be honest with you, because this is the remote control. Basically I just use this to go everywhere, and it's pretty fantastic. So I think it'll be fine even on the back of the boat, to be honest with you. But on the front of the boat, the only downside to it is that it, you know, when the wind, it does snake like this. So when you're going through the water and you're doing it very, very fast, like the top speeds that you can go on this thing, you're going to be kind of doing like this if there's a lot of wind. If there's not much wind, you'll be doing less of that. Now I will also say that the heading lock that motor has, I can do a review of that if you guys want, just specifically that motor. But the heading lock on it doesn't really work on this boat. Well, particularly on the front. I haven't tried it on the back of it, so I don't know if it'll be different on the back of it at all. But maybe it will be, because when you try to use the heading lock, the software overcorrects. I guess it's used to bigger boats. It corrects so heavily that that snaking I was telling you about is super bad, like to the point of where you just can't use it. Like it's doing like really fast snakes trying to keep you on the heading. Now at low speeds, it doesn't do that. So if you're just trying to troll, like if you just wanted to troll the edge of this shoreline really slowly and just cover a lot of land, a lot of water while you're fishing, it's good for that. And that's what I use it for. It's perfect for that, actually. Now, if you're wanting to map a GPS spot from the boat dock to one of your fishing holes, it's probably not going to work very well for that. Again, I am using a remote control, so it doesn't really matter to me. I can just control it by hand, and it works fine. So yeah, honestly, I'm in love. This thing is fantastic. The only downside is that I don't have a truck. I hate having to stow this thing in my car. I pretty much stopped deflating it at this point. I leave it inflated all the time, and then I just put it on and off the roof of my car. I bought a roof rack system and everything. It hasn't come in yet, so I've been using these little inflatable ones. Apparently manufacturers are having troubles filling orders right now. Thule is who I ordered it from. So when I get that up, maybe I'll show you what that got, show you guys what that looks like. But yeah, for now, this is what I got going on. I've got a pretty massive marine battery hooked up to it right here. I couldn't think of a better place to put it. I mean, that is probably gonna bother some people that it doesn't look better than that. I don't give a crap. So that's why I just set it there. I have the waterproof top off of it right now because, to be honest with you, I was messing with it and I forgot it at the car. And I didn't want to go back and get it, so Yeah. So as long, honestly, water can hit that and it's just fine. As long as it doesn't submerge or you get water inside the housing, then you're good. And I've never once have I had this thing seem like it was going to flip over on me. I have almost fallen off of this thing once before, but it was because a guy came flying by on his boat and the wake was so hard and I was standing up that it almost knocked me off. Thankfully, I was able to grab a hold to this and keep from falling off. Now, when that happened, I won't lie, I sat down. I immediately grabbed the rail, sat down, everything was fine. So yeah, you might want a seat. I obviously got this from Bass Pro. Not sponsored or anything by any of this stuff. I wish I was, if anyone's watching. Yeah, this is extremely comfortable. I'm a tall guy, I'm 6'3". I just got tired of sitting on a cooler and my back was hurting. It made me not want to go fishing. It made me not want to go on the lake. So I said, screw it, I'm gonna invest in a good chair. And it was about $100 at Bass Pro. Yeah, it's really super comfy. And when you get on and off of this paddleboard, I had a lot of people ask me how stable is it. I'll show you in a minute. This thing is, there's nothing more stable than it. I bought an Ascend tournament fishing kayak that's supposed to be able for you to stand up on and all that stuff. And I thought to myself, I love this so much, maybe I'll buy like a hard shell version without paying $3,000, because that's how much the boat wants for the you know, the hard shell version of this, which I will probably eventually get. I did order the Ford F-150 Lightning, so as soon as that comes in, which will probably be like next summer, I will probably do a whole video surrounding how I load in and out of the truck and all that stuff. But yeah, I want the hard shell one so that when I get the truck, and then things will just be simpler, I think, for me in terms of that, because then I can just stow it in the bed of the truck, pull up to the edge of the lake and drop it in the water and go. And it'll be way easier. But anyways, yeah, this is super, super simple. Everybody's asking how I did this. If you have any sort of like carpentry skills, or if you've done anything with power tools, then this is the easiest thing in the world to do. Literally all I did is I got the quick release bracket. I got this at Bass Pro Shops. Now this is specifically meant for Minn Kota trolling motors. And I did have to order this Minn Kota because, again, manufacturers are having hard times right now, and that took, oh God, it was like 2 months before I actually got the motor. But if you're willing to be patient, it's totally worth it. Yeah, and then I just took, see this hull here? Well, it has holes for different sizes of Minn Kota, and I basically it's quarter 20 bolts as well, and you can see those right here, like I pointed out earlier. I just put those right through so that the quick release bracket stays mounted. And this piece of wood is not water treated. You can see it warping here. This is a prototype. I decided not to buy an expensive piece of like treated wood to use here. And I probably will ultimately have something machined that is actually water proof, you know, because wood will ultimately break down. The right kind of treated wood will work for a long time. This is not treated and it's on its way out now. I've been using it now for about 6 months total, and I use it constantly, once a week at least. Absolutely love it. This is just a rigged up way to make this happen. That's all it is. So yeah, if you have any questions about how I did that, how I got the measurements to make it all right, to make it easier, I can show you guys how I developed it and all that stuff. If anybody wants to know, just ask and I'll do a video on that too. I'm not, you know, it takes a lot of effort to do videos. If anybody's ever done them, they know. So if you don't ask for it, I'm probably not gonna do it. But I think I'm gonna start doing some fishing videos if people would like to see that. Especially when it starts to cool down, because this is midsummer right now in Arizona and it's about 115. We did get rain last night, so it's a little cooler. Maybe it's like 105 right now. Usually it's about 115, 120 at this time of day. Terrible time of day to go fishing, but I had stuff I had to do this morning, so I couldn't get out at dawn. I just wanted to make sure I got out here and did this video because I told a few of you that I would. Yeah, and that's it. I'm gonna put this video up as soon as I can. I just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown of how I actually mounted it and what it looks like and how that works. So what I'll do now is I will take the boat back into the water. I'm gonna let the trolling motor down into the water so you can see what that looks like. And then I'll step onto the boat just so that anyone who's curious of how stable it is can see what that's like. Okay, So we're going to go ahead and go back out and head back to the boat ramp because it is too hot and I'm not going to catch anything this time of day. Might as well just go ahead and roll. So, all right, this is how she goes into the water. This right here is pretty nice because the water drops off fairly fast, so I don't have to walk out into the water like really far to be able to set the motor in. So this little sucker right here, if you guys can see, this keeps the motor at the depth that you want it to be, and you can adjust it however you want. So you just pop that, and then you slide it. Well, easier said than done. You have to slide it out, just like that. Then it, well, sorry. Okay, so then it comes down, and then it clicks into place, and it is ready to go. I'm gonna push her out so she doesn't hit the bottom at all. All right, so stability test time. First, what I'm gonna do, you can see I've got the motor turned on. I don't know how well you guys can see this. I'm going to actually reduce the speed. I'm gonna put it at about like, let's say 3 miles, 2.5, 3 miles, 3. Sorry, it's not 3 miles an hour, it's just the speed, 3. And I'm actually going to turn the motor on. So the motor's on and it's pulling the boat right now. Let me direct it that way so it'll go out a little bit more. Now I'm going to step onto the boat. So you can see, just see how deep I am right now. I'm down to about my knees in the water. And it is super, super wavy. Right onto it. No problems. And the motor is now pulling me out, so the waves are not pushing me back towards the shore. And now we're going to speed up. Let's hit it up to 10. You notice how the motor kicks back? Good to go. And now we are headed back. Sitting in my chair, letting the motor do all the work for me, like a lazy dude. Pretty sweet, right? Well, okay, anyways, let me pull this off. So you can see, pretty cool. And I'll show you sort of how this works. You see how I'm just directing the way that it goes? And I guess you could literally keep it, you could let this thing just go without you if you wanted to. I don't know how far it would go with the remote controller, being out of range and stuff, but if you wanted to park it and then have it like sit in deeper water and then come to shore, like if you were fishing in the ocean and maybe you were worried about the tide, you could spot lock it off the shore a little bit and then swim to shore, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it. But honestly, this thing is so light, who's caring about tides, right? You just pick it up and drag it. But anyways, okay, yeah, that's basically it. That honestly, 6 months of use, maybe a little more than 6 months of use and ownership, I am thrilled with it. Absolutely love it. Would recommend, would buy another one if it broke. I have had no problems out of it. I've traveled with it. I've taken it from Phoenix up to Lake Tahoe. I have put a lot of use into this thing and I love it. It's really fantastic. I hope that you guys find some use out of it. If you have any questions or concerns or whatever, just let me know. If not, like and subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one.